Document. Part 1. In the cold, quiet darkness of space, something unusual caught the attention of Dr. Emily Carter. She was sitting in the control room of a deep space observatory on Europa, one of Jupiter's icy moons. Her eyes were fixed on the screen in front of her, scanning rows of numbers and graphs that most people would find confusing. But Emily wasn't like most people. She had spent years studying the stars, and she knew when something didn't feel right. It started as a faint blip, almost too weak to notice. At first, Emily thought it might be interference from Europa's magnetic field, or even a glitch in the equipment. But as she zoomed in on the data, her heart began to race. The signal wasn't random noise, it was rhythmic, repeating in patterns. That couldn't be natural. It was artificial. Someone or something was sending a message. Emily leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. Could this really be what she thought it was? A signal from another world? She double-checked the readings, running simulations and cross-referencing them with known phenomena. Nothing matched. This was something new, something extraordinary. She reached for her communicator and called Captain Ryan Hayes. He was stationed aboard the Pioneer Dawn, a state-of-the-art spacecraft orbiting nearby. Ryan answered quickly, his voice calm but curious. "What's going on, Dr. Carter?" he asked. "I think you need to see this," Emily replied, trying to keep her excitement under control. "There's a signal coming from near Ganymede. It's not from us." Ryan didn't waste any time. Within minutes, he ordered the Pioneer Dawn to change course and head toward the source of the signal. As they approached, the crew began picking up more details. The signal wasn't just a simple broadcast, it was a distress call. Someone out there was in trouble. When they arrived, the sight was breathtaking. Spread across the blackness of space was a fleet of alien ships. They were enormous, far larger than anything humans had ever built. Their designs were sleek and otherworldly, glowing faintly with strange lights. But there was something wrong. The ships weren't moving. They were trapped, caught in some kind of swirling vortex that shimmered like liquid light. Ryan gathered his senior officers in the ship's command center to discuss what they should do next. "We've never encountered anything like this before," he said, pacing back and forth. "But if those ships are sending a distress signal, we can't just ignore them." Communications Officer Lisa Bennett nodded. "I've been analyzing the signal. I think we can try to establish contact. If we can figure out who or what they are, maybe we can help." Engineer Jack Thompson raised a hand hesitantly. "Captain, we don't know anything about these aliens. What if they're dangerous? Or worse, what if this is some kind of trap?" Ryan stopped pacing and looked at his crew. "I won't lie, we're stepping into the unknown. But isn't that why we're here? To explore, to learn, and maybe even to make a difference. We'll proceed carefully, but we will proceed." With that decision made, Lisa got to work. She adjusted the ship's communication systems, broadcasting a simple message in binary coda, universal language of sorts. For hours, there was no response. Just when hope began to fade, a reply came through. It was garbled at first, but after tweaking the translation algorithms, Lisa managed to decode it. The message was short, but clear. "Help us." The crew of the Pioneer Dawn exchanged glances, a mix of awe and apprehension on their faces. Humanity had dreamed of meeting alien life for centuries, but no one had imagined it would happen like this. Now, they faced a choice: turn away and leave the stranded fleet to its fate, or step forward and offer assistance. Ryan didn't hesitate. "Prepare the shuttle," he ordered. "We're going in." As the crew sprang into action, Emily couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement mixed with fear. Whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain: humanity was about to take its first step onto the cosmic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. Document. Part 3. The crew of the Pioneer Dawn gathered in the ship's briefing room, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of holographic displays. Captain Ryan Hayes stood at the front, his expression serious but calm. On the table, before them was a three-dimensional map of the vortex, created using data from the drones. It showed swirling layers of energy fields and the dense core at its center, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. "All right, team," Ryan began, his voice steady. "We've got a lot to figure out if we're going to help the Zorathians. This vortex isn't just random, it's structured, almost like a machine. Our goal is simple: find a way to either shut it down or create an opening for them to escape." "Engineer." Jack Thompson leaned forward, studying the map intently. "If this thing is artificial, then there's probably a control system somewhere, maybe near that core. But getting close enough to investigate won't be easy. Those energy fields could fry our systems or worse." Ryan nodded. "That's why we'll need a plan. Sam, how are the drones holding up?" "Samantha," Sam Green tapped a few keys on her tablet. "They're doing okay for now, but they're not built for extended exposure to this kind of energy. If we push them too far into the vortex, they might not come back." "Then we'll have to go in ourselves," Ryan said firmly. A murmur of concern rippled through the room. Everyone knew the risks. The vortex was unpredictable, and stepping into it could mean disaster. But no one argued. They had come this far, and turning back wasn't an option. Dr. Emily Carter raised her hand, hesitantly. "Captain, I think I should join the mission. If we do find a control system, I might be able to understand how it works. Plus, I've been analyzing the Zorathian tech. They've shared some basic schematics with us. It could help." Ryan considered this for a moment, then nodded. "Good point. You're in. Jack, you'll come too, or the best person to handle any technical issues. Lisa, stay here and keep communicating with the Zorathians. We'll need constant updates from them." Lisa Bennett gave a small nod, though she looked uneasy. "Be careful out there," she said quietly. With the team decided, Ryan turned his attention to preparing for the mission. The shuttle they would use was small but sturdy, equipped with reinforced shields and advanced sensors. Jack spent hours fine-tuning the engines, making sure they could withstand the strain of flying through the vortex. Meanwhile, Emily reviewed the Zorathian schematics, searching for clues about how their technology interacted with the anomaly. As the preparations continued, the Zorathians sent another message. Their leader, Commander Vrax, expressed gratitude for humanity's efforts, but also warned of dangers within the vortex. "There are remnants," he said, his translated voice heavy with unease. "Traces of something ancient. We do not know what they are, but they may pose a threat." Ryan relayed this information to the team. "Looks like we're not just dealing with energy fields," he said grimly. "Whatever these remnants are, we'll need to stay alert." Finally, the moment arrived. Ryan, Emily, and Jack climbed aboard the shuttle, strapping themselves in as the hatch sealed shut behind them. The cockpit was cramped but functional, filled with blinking lights and humming instruments. As the shuttle detached from the Pioneer Dawn, Ryan took a deep breath. "All right, team, let's make history." The shuttle approached the vortex cautiously, its shields shimmering as they brushed against the outer edges of the energy field. Inside, the view was surreal. Streams of light swirled around them, distorting their vision and making it hard to focus. Emily stared out the window, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "And dangerous," Jack added, keeping his hand steady on the controls. They pushed deeper, guided by the map Sam had created. Soon, strange shapes began to emerge from the chaos-broken fragments of structures, floating aimlessly, their surfaces etched with alien symbols. These were the remnants Commander Vrax had warned them about. Emily leaned closer to the window, her mind racing. "These look like pieces of buildings," she said. "Maybe part of an ancient civilization." Ryan frowned. "If that's true, then whoever built this place had incredible power. And if we're not careful, we might end up sharing their fate." Jack adjusted the shuttle's trajectory, steering them toward the core. "Let's focus on finding that control system," he said. "We can worry about history later." As they ventured further, the air inside the shuttle grew tense. Every beep of the sensors, every flicker of the lights, felt heavier than before. They were surrounded by mystery and danger. But despite the risks, none of them doubted their mission. Humanity had stepped forward to help, and they weren't about to turn back now. Document. Part 4. The shuttle drifted deeper into the vortex, its reinforced shields holding steady against the swirling energy fields. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Ryan Hayes gripped the armrest of his seat as he watched the strange remnants of an ancient civilization float past the windows. Broken spires, shattered domes, and jagged fragments of metal-like material drifted silently in the chaotic currents of the anomaly. Each piece seemed to hum faintly, as if alive, and their surfaces were covered in glowing symbols that pulsed in rhythm with the core at the center of the vortex. "Emily." Carter leaned closer to the window, her eyes wide with fascination. "These symbols, they're not random," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "They're part of a language. If we can decode them, they might tell us something about this place." Jack Thompson glanced at her from the pilot's seat. "We don't have time for a history lesson, Doc. We need to find that control system before this thing tears us apart." Ryan nodded in agreement. "Jack's right. Focus on the mission, Emily, but keep an eye out for anything that looks like it could be a control mechanism." As they moved closer to the core, the shuttle's sensors began picking up strange readings. The energy fields around them grew denser, pressing against the shields like an invisible weight. Warning lights flashed on the console, and the ship shuddered slightly as Jack fought to maintain control. "Hold on," Jack shouted, gripping the controls tightly. He adjusted the shuttle's trajectory, weaving between the floating remnants to avoid the strongest energy currents. Suddenly, the shuttle passed through a cluster of debris, and a massive structure loomed into view. It was unlike anything they had seen before. Towering archway made of dark, metallic material, etched with the same glowing symbols as the smaller fragments. At its center was a circular opening filled with swirling light, almost like a portal. "That's got to be it," Ryan said, pointing at the structure. "That's the control system, or at least part of it." Emily nodded eagerly. "It matches some of the schematics the Zerathians shared with us. That archway is probably the gate's main interface. If we can access it, we might be able to stabilize the vortex, or even shut it down." Jack guided the shuttle toward the archway, but as they approached, something unexpected happened. The symbols on the structure began to glow brighter, and the swirling light inside the portal intensified. A low hum filled the air, growing louder and more intense with each passing second. "What's going on?" Ryan asked, his voice tight with concern. "I don't know," Jack replied, his hands moving quickly over the controls. "But I don't like it." Before they could react, the shuttle was hit by a sudden wave of energy. The force rocked the craft violently, throwing Ryan and Emily against their seats. Alarms blared as the shields flickered, struggling to hold back the surge. "We can't stay here," Jack yelled, trying to stabilize the shuttle. "Wait," Emily shouted, pointing at the archway. Through the chaos, she noticed something yet. Crystalline object, embedded in the base of the structure. It pulsed with a bright, rhythmic light, almost like a heartbeat. "That's it," she exclaimed. "That crystal, it's controlling the vortex. If we can retrieve it, we might be able to manipulate the gate." Ryan hesitated for a moment, weighing the risks. The shuttle was already straining under the pressure of the energy fields, and venturing outside would be dangerous. But they had come too far to turn back now. "All right," he said finally. "We'll suit up and go after it. Jack, you stay here and keep the shuttle ready. Emily and I will grab the crystal." Jack nodded reluctantly. "Just be quick about it. These shields won't last forever." Ryan and Emily climbed into their spacesuits, checking the seals carefully before stepping into the airlock. As the outer door opened, they were greeted by the eerie silence of space. The vortex stretched around them, a kaleidoscope of light and shadow that made it hard to focus. Moving cautiously, they used magnetic boots to walk across the surface of the archway. The symbols glowed brighter as they approached the crystal, casting strange shadows on their suits. Emily reached out, her gloved hand trembling as she touched the object. "It's warm," she murmured, pulling it free. The moment she did, the entire structure began to shake. The symbols flared with blinding light, and the swirling portal at the center of the archway roared to life. "We need to go now," Ryan shouted, grabbing Emily's arm. They hurried back to the shuttle, hearts pounding as the vortex seemed to come alive around them. Whatever they had just done, it was clear. They had awakened something powerful and they weren't sure what would happen next. Document. Part 5. The shuttle rocked violently as Ryan and Emily stumbled back inside. The crystalline object clutched tightly in Emily's hands. Jack was already at the controls, his face pale, but focused as he monitored the energy readings. The vortex around them had become a storm of light and sound, chaotic and unpredictable. The glowing symbols on the archway pulsed faster, their rhythm matching the growing intensity of the swirling portal. "What did you do?" Jack shouted over the noise, his fingers flying across the console as he tried to stabilize the shuttle. "I don't know," Emily replied, her voice trembling. "But I think we just triggered something big." Ryan slammed the airlock shut and strapped himself into the nearest seat. "Get us out of here, Jack. Now." Jack didn't need to be told twice. He fired up the engines, pushing the shuttle to its limits as they sped away from the archway. Behind them, the portal roared, louder, its swirling light expanding rapidly. Fragments of debris were sucked toward it, pulled into the growing maw, like moths to a flame. "Hold on," Jack yelled, gripping the controls with white-knuckled hands. The shuttle shuddered as it fought against the vortex's pull. Alarms blinked, warning of critical stress on the shields. Emily clutched the crystal tightly, her mind racing. Whatever this object was, it clearly held immense power, and now they had taken it. As they finally broke free of the immediate danger, the crew let out a collective sigh of relief. But their respite was short-lived. On the view screen, the vortex began to collapse inward, shrinking rapidly before erupting in a brilliant flash of light. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, slowly, the anomaly began to stabilize. The swirling energy field settled, and the once chaotic current smoothed into a steady flow. The trapped Zorathian ships floated motionless, their fate uncertain. Ryan turned to Emily. "What just happened? Did we fix it, Tor? Make it worse?" Emily hesitated, staring at the crystal in her hands. It still glowed faintly, pulsing with a soft, rhythmic light. "I think we might have reset the gate. That crystal seems to control the entire system. By removing it, we disrupted the anomaly, but now we need to figure out how to use it properly." Jack groaned, leaning back in his seat. "Great. So we've got a cosmic doomsday device sitting right here, and no idea how to turn it off." Ryan shot him a sharp look. "Focus, Jack. We'll figure it out. First, we need to get back to the Pioneer Dawn and regroup. Lisa can help us analyze this thing while we decide our next move." The shuttle docked with the main ship a short time later, and the crew wasted no time getting to work. Emily rushed to the lab with the crystal, setting it on a secure platform while she connected it to diagnostic equipment. Lisa joined her, running scans and comparing the data to the schematics provided by the Zorathians. Meanwhile, Ryan contacted Commander Vrax aboard one of the alien vessels. "We retrieved an object from the gate," he explained. "It seems to control the anomaly. Do you recognize it?" Vrax's response came through moments later, his tone cautious but intrigued. "That crystal. It matches descriptions in our ancient texts. It is called the core key. Long ago, it was said, to unlock or seal gates like this one. If you have it, then perhaps you can restore balance to the vortex." Ryan frowned. "How do we do that?" We don't want to cause any more damage. Vrax paused before replying. You must reactivate the gate using the core key. Place it back within the structure and align its frequencies with the surrounding energy fields. Doing so may allow safe passage for my fleet. Ryan relayed the instructions to Emily and Lisa, who immediately began working on a plan. Using the Zorothian schematics, they identified specific frequencies that matched the crystal's vibrations. By adjusting these frequencies, they hoped to create a stable pathway through the vortex. As hours passed, the tension aboard the Pioneer Dawn grew thicker. Everyone knew the stakes. If they failed, the Zorathians would remain trapped, and the anomaly could destabilize again, potentially endangering both fleets. Finally, Emily stepped back from her workstation, exhaustion etched on her face. I think we've got it, she said. The crystal is ready. All we need to do is return it to the archway and activate it. Ryan nodded, determination in his eyes. All right, team, let's finish what we started. Humanity didn't come this far to fail now. With the core keys secured, the shuttle prepared for another trip into the vortex. This time, however, they weren't just exploring, they were taking action. And as the shuttle launched once more, the crew felt a mix of hope and fear. They had unlocked the gate's secrets, but whether they could truly master them remained to be seen. Document. Part 2. The Pioneer Dawn moved closer to the alien fleet, its engines humming softly as the crew prepared for what might come next. Captain Ryan Hayes stood at the center of the command deck, his sharp eyes scanning the viewscreen. The swirling vortex that trapped the alien ships was both beautiful and terrifying, a chaotic mix of light and shadow that seemed alive. It pulsed faintly, almost like a heartbeat, sending shivers down the spines of everyone watching. Lisa Bennett sat at her station, her fingers flying over the controls as she worked to refine the translation algorithms. She had already managed to decode the alien's initial message, but now she needed more. Communication would be key if they wanted to understand who these beings were and why they were stranded. After several tense minutes, Lisa's face lit up with a small smile. Captain, she said, turning toward Ryan, I think I've got something. Ryan stepped closer, leaning over her shoulder as she played the decoded message. The voice was deep and resonant, unlike anything human. It spoke in broken phrases, but the meaning was clear. We are Zorathians. Our technology failed. We cannot escape this trap. Trap, Ryan repeated, frowning. He turned to the rest of the crew. Does anyone know what they mean by that? Engineer Jack Thompson shook his head. Could be a malfunction in their systems. Or maybe it's part of this vortex thing. Either way, it doesn't sound good. Navigator Samantha, Sam Green chimed in from her seat. Whatever it is, we need to tread carefully. That vortex looks unstable. If we get too close, we could end up stuck like them. Ryan nodded thoughtfully. Agreed, but we can't just sit here and do nothing. Lisa, keep trying to communicate. Let's see if we can learn more about their situation. Lisa returned to her work, sending another message in binary code. This time, she added a question. What caused your ship to become trapped? It took a while for the Zorathians to respond. When they did, their answer was unsettling. This place disrupts energy fields. Our engines stopped working. Time feels strange here. The crew exchanged worried glances. If the vortex disrupted energy fields, then getting involved could put the Pioneer Dawn at risk. Still, Ryan knew they couldn't turn back now. Lisa asked them if they know anything about this area of space. Why is it so dangerous? After another round of back-and-forth communication, the Zorthians revealed that they had been traveling through uncharted territory when they encountered the vortex. Their charts were old and incomplete, leaving them unprepared for what lay ahead. They admitted they didn't fully understand the anomaly, but believed it was not natural. It seemed designed, though they couldn't explain by whom or for what purpose. Emily Carter listened intently, her mind racing. If it's artificial, then there must be some kind of mechanism controlling it, she said. Maybe we can find a way to shut it down or at least weaken it enough for them to escape. Ryan liked the idea, but he also knew it wouldn't be easy. We'll need to gather more information first, he said. Sam, plot us a course around the edge of the vortex. Let's see if we can map it without getting too close. Jack, prepare the drones. We'll send them in to take readings. As the crew sprang into action, Ryan felt a mix of determination and unease. Humanity had never faced a challenge like this before. These aliens, the Zorathians, were clearly advanced, yet even their superior technology had failed them here. What chance did humans have against something so powerful? But Ryan pushed those doubts aside. He reminded himself why they were here, to help, and if there was even the smallest possibility of rescuing the Zorathian fleet, then it was worth the risk. Hours passed, as the Pioneer Dawn circled the vortex, deploying drones to collect data. The images and readings they gathered painted a clearer picture of the anomaly. It wasn't just a random phenomena, it was structured, with layers of energy fields that seemed to shift unpredictably. At its center was a dense core of light, pulsing rhythmically like a heart. "This is incredible," Emily whispered, staring at the data. "It's almost like a gate." "A gate?" Ryan asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," Emily replied. "Think about it. Gates are designed to control movement, either letting things pass through or keeping them out. Maybe this one is meant to trap intruders." Jack frowned. "Great. So we're dealing with some kind of cosmic prison?" "Possibly," Emily admitted. "But if we can figure out how it works, maybe we can open a door, at least create a safe path for the Zorathian to leave." Ryan nodded slowly. "All right, let's focus on that. For now, let's keep communicating with the Zorathians. The more we know about them and their tech, the better our chances of success." As the Pioneer Dawn continued its careful approach, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The Zorathians remained cautious, their messages polite but guarded, despite their gratitude for the humans' efforts. There was an underlying tension, a sense that they weren't telling the whole truth. Still, Ryan pressed forward. Humanity had taken its first step into the unknown, and no matter what challenges lay ahead, one thing was certain: they weren't backing down.